Well, hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal, and today we're going to be talking about our core beliefs. Just excuse me one second. Thank you. The whole basis of our happiness has a lot to do with what we believe about ourselves and the things going on around us. So I want to take a little bit of time just to remind you of this. I probably will do both today's broadcast and also the one tonight around this subject, because it is so important that you understand how what you believe or what you're saying to yourself, if you like, is affecting your life. And especially for all those of you who are suffering from anxiety or depression or any of those things where, quite honestly, what we're thinking contributes to how we're feeling. And so I'm going to try and make it sort of interesting and a sort of educational as well as experiential type broadcast today. So I hope you enjoy it. Before I start, I just wanted to say that there's been a lot of talk in the news about the Boeing aircrafts that crashed. And what I wanted to do, and I know this might sound somewhat strange to some of you, but what I really wanted to do is to take a second to ask you all to please pray for the people who designed the MCAS system, MCAS system that caused the problem. I don't know about you, but I keep thinking, what must it be like going to bed at night and knowing that the program that you wrote caused the death of over 600 people. I don't know about you, but my heart goes out to those people, because we know it was not their intent to cause harm, but that doesn't stop the fact that it did. And so, hi there, Jody, by the way, and hi, Linda. So, you know, I don't know why. I just have a need for us to just please give some prayers to those people. And probably, if you've got shares in Boeing, it'd be a good time to divest of them, because everybody else will be. So here is the good news. The good news is that part of what we do in living every day is learning every day. And that is what I've come to talk about, is how do we learn to be a little bit more conscious of how we contribute to what's going on in our lives. All right, so I just want to start, if I may, with a quote. I found a quote that I thought was really ideal for today, and it said, hang on one second, I just want to get that screen up. What you believe is true. What you believe is true. And that was said by a gentleman called Iqbal Osman. And think about that. You know, what you believe, what you keep saying to yourself, what you keep saying to justify yourself actually becomes your truth. And I'm pretty sure that by the time we finish today, you will get an idea of how that is affecting your life. Good. So, excuse me. I want to thank Charlotte, our viewer Charlotte, for giving me the suggestion that I talk a little bit about this over a couple of weeks. This is too big a subject just to talk about one day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sort of doing different versions of this over the next few weeks. And what I'm trying to do is make it in a way that will be, you know, not make you feel overwhelmed in any way. All right. So thanks to Charlotte for suggesting that we do this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest or talk about a belief, and then I'm going to ask you to give me some feedback about how you would react or act or talk or think if you had that belief. All right, and so I'm just going to start with 1 or 2. Let's say we've been invited to go out to a party or maybe to a dinner with friends. If your core belief is, I hate going out, what happens to you when you think about this invitation? What happens to you when you actually get the first call to say, would you like to come? If your core belief is, I hate to go out, what is your thinking when you get that telephone call that invites you out? Is your first thought, what excuse can I give? And I just want you to think about this. Yeah, Linda's saying her first thought is, I'm not going, right? So do you understand, if that's your core belief, by the way, do you accept it? So Linda's saying, no, she's not going to go. So that's your first thing. If your core belief is, I don't like going out, then you're going to refuse invitations. And you not only refuse invitations, you refuse invitations to have fun, you refuse invitations to meet new people, to try new food, do whatever. You are actually saying no to life as we know it. And that's what I want you to think about. Let's say that you got a little bit brave because they're really a good friend of yours and you said yes, even though you didn't really want to go. Do you look forward to it? Okay, so Jody's saying, I don't want to go, but it's a good idea to get out of the house for a social gathering. Yes, Jody, remember that. So think about that, all right? Think about, do you look forward to it, or do you spend the time between accepting the invitation, even though you didn't really want to when you go, muttering and grunting about, oh my gosh, I've got to go to this thing. Yes, Linda's saying I'd be a nervous wreck by the time it arrived. Yeah, I quite agree with you. And by the way, how many of you at the last minute phone and say, I'm really sorry, but I'm ill? Or whatever. If your thought is, I really don't like going out, then that's what happens to you. And by the way, if you don't realize that is your thinking, but you recognize the behavior, think about that. Your core belief at some level is you don't want to go out and meet people. And you might want to give some thought as to why. And then, as Linda has said, do you stress out? Yeah, then the last minute cancel. Yeah, you relate to that. I do. I've done it. So do you stress out about what to wear? Where it doesn't really matter what you wear, but just because you don't like to go out, you get all set in your ways about, oh, what am I going to wear? And I'm going to look like an idiot and I don't have anything, modern or new or whatever. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Now, if you have been able to think in those terms, let's now change the narrative. Now let's go through exactly the same exercise, but this time with a core belief that you love going out. What happens when you get the telephone call? Hi, we're going to get a few friends together on Thursday. Do you want to come? You're probably going, yay. Yes, I do. What time? And some of you who are more into the who, what, why, where, when, and how might say, by the way, how are we dressing for this? Is it super casual or whatever? Yes, and Linda's saying, in that vein, if you're in that mood, in that belief system, you say, oh, wonder what I'm going to wear. And oh, I wonder who I'm going to meet. And sort of even pre-plan some conversations you might want to have. So, it's amazing what difference the thought process is. And if you have been able to, in your mind, see both sides of this, then there is hope. Yes, Jody be saying, I'd so be looking forward to it. And can I bring anything to the party? You see, typical Jody, what can I bring? All right. So now on the other side, Jody, if you didn't like going out, but had said yes, even though you didn't want to, do you understand? You're going, oh, rats, now I've got to cook something. Do you understand how the very thought system that you have to start with determines everything from that point onwards? And it will also determine whether you have fun or not. Can you see that? All right, so let's take another one. Hi there, Marie. And hi, Trina. I'm glad you're putting your feet up. Good to see that. Yeah, so if you can see both sides of that narrative, then let's try another one. Okay, so this time we're going to say that your core belief is, I am not a good friend. Yes, Linda's saying, I think I'm totally honest. If I'm totally honest, I'd say that it's a chore to get through. Yes, you see, that's the difference in thinking. So now let's have the next one, all right? Let's say that your core belief is that you're not a good friend. If you believe at some level that you're, hi Nana, if you believe at some level you're not a good friend, how often will you keep in touch with people? You see, I don't know if it makes any sense to any of you, but if you've already got the core belief that you're not a good friend, do you understand it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy? You sort of, you ought to keep in touch, but, I'm not much of a friend anyway. So, I found that if you have a belief that you're not really a good friend, you also keep score. Well, I phoned them last time, so it's their turn. Yeah, it's their turn to call me. Yeah. Linda's saying I wait for them to approach me if I'm in that mood set, right? And the other question is, if you believe you're not a good friend at some deep level, I'm not saying that you're even conscious of it. That's why I want you to be aware of the behaviors. If you are of the feeling that you're not a good friend, what sort of, do you find you have a lot to talk about? Or do you constantly filter what you're about to talk about, going, they're not really going to be interested in this anyway? So I want you to really get aware of that. And I would like to suggest that really, if you have that mindset deep down that I'm not a good friend, then you have the ultimate excuse, for anything in terms of your friends. Well, I don't contact them very often because, I'm just not very good at that stuff. Well, hello. If you want to be considered a good friend, act like one. Right? Don't give yourself the excuse. And by the way, it is really important that you understand this one. If you're always waiting for other people to call you, and this can be your family, this can be, not just your friends, it can be your family. If you are always going, well, I phoned the family last time, it's their turn to call me, don't do that to yourself. If it gives you joy to talk to the family, talk to them, right? I want you to understand that it's too easy to play the blame game and be in that mentality. If you love to talk, and I always think about, going down to see the grandchildren. It's like, if I think it's been too long since I've seen them, I actually will phone now and get an invitation, right? And, so it's just like, I don't really care anymore. It's just like, I want to see the kids. And so I'm going to find a time to go down. So why? Because I want to do that. I want the hugs. I want the joy. I want the fun. But you see, if you think you're not a good parent, a good whatever, I think sometimes, we get, those of you who are parents, you get tied up with a good or bad parent thing. And so how many of you have ever, if you're a parent, and I think most of you have been, yeah, how many of you have days where you think, I haven't been a very good parent today? All right, so let's see what some of the feedback is here. Linda's saying, Yeah, a bit like that moment Linda had a moment with a cousin who had not spoken to her for 31 years. And she said she was amazing how difficult it was to start a conversation. Yes, it's very difficult to start a conversation with somebody you don't know or don't like. And Jodi's saying, I'm always afraid that I'm boring in conversation at a party. I second guess my social skills, even though I've been told I can be the life of the party sometimes. I just feel awkward. Yes, I totally understand that. So what if they, the other parent, don't let you Skype with the children? All right, now they've got a good reason for that, Nana. Do you know what it is? Yeah, I agree with Linda. Linda's saying you're never boring on here, Jodi. That's right, I quite agree. So, Nana, I have to say everybody's got a good reason for doing what they do. So do you know what their reason is for them not wanting you to Skype with the children? They're too tired? All right, so I would say to them, if you're not allowed to Skype with your grandchildren, then why don't you write to them so that they know you care? Or I've done this for the children every now and then, Nana, which is I will actually record a quick video to them that can be played anytime that it's convenient. They can't read. Okay, so do a video. You see, the thing is this, I think if you want to make that connection, it doesn't have to be a half an hour conversation. You can literally put down on Facebook now as well. You can just put down a quick note. They're not allowed on the PC. Okay. Or on the phone. Excuses for everything. Now, they really, my reality on this one is they must have a really good reason not to want you talking to the kids. All right? And so you've got to own that at some level. It's, I cannot believe that is that your son or is it your son-in-law? I think it's your son, right? Because really, Nana, what I would be doing is, hi, Beth. Yes. So I would be talking to my son and saying, honey, I understand you've got 1,001 reasons why you can't make the time for me to talk to the grandchildren. I need to make an appointment. Give me the time. I won't take more than 5 minutes of their time, but I need to talk to the grandchildren. I don't care if you take them into the car outside the house so I can talk to them. Just, I need you to make the time. They are my grandchildren. You see, I think in a way, Nana, there might be another way. If anybody else has had that problem and found the answer to it, feel free to chip in here. Okay, so you're saying your own son will not let you talk to his children? I've got to tell you something that is unusual behavior, in my view. Therefore, there is a good reason for it. Beth is saying, they asked me to stay at work, and I said, sorry, I have group therapy with MamaSal and my friends. I hope you're going to enjoy this one. Okay, so Nana, I am still saying to you that this is unusual behavior. Your son has a reason for this, and so does your daughter-in-law. So I don't know whether the son's reason is the daughter-in-law's attitude, but I would still say to you that really, you know, I would find a way. I would find a way to, you're only responsible for your behavior. And so I would send a video chat and ask your son to show it to the children and make sure it's short. Just literally once a week, send a little note to them saying, "Hi, children. I just, wanted to say hi." Yes, you see, Trina's saying, would you arrange a visit to see them, Nana? I asked her that as well, Trina, some time back, and Nana said no. They need to visit her. So I totally agree with you. So, Nana, you are your son's mother. Go visit. I really can't be bothered. You see, that's your mindset. I really can't be bothered. All right. So then don't discuss it anymore. If what I'm saying to you is, where would they stay? They don't invite me. As I've had this discussion with you before, Nana, I would stay anywhere at the local Motel 6 or whatever it's called, if necessary. I would stay anywhere if I needed to go, and visit them. All right. So think about that. Nana, I'm sorry for you. I have to say, I am genuinely sorry for you that you have this going on. But I still say you are their grandmother and you deserve either to see them or a really good reason why you can't. Yes, Trina's saying the same as I did. I have a son, I'd invite myself. It's too far for Rick to drive? Why is Rick limited on how far he can drive? This is a new excuse, Nana. So why don't you drive? So are you all seeing? Are you all seeing what Nana is doing with this conversation? So Nana, my heart breaks for you, really, honey. Okay, so how far can he drive with his eyes, and can you not take turns like most people do? Or take the bus? You see, my experience has been that when you really want to do something, you make it happen. When you don't want to do something, yes, you seldom drive anymore. Well, hello, Nana. That is your choice. It's not because you can't. All right? It's because you choose not to. I bet you still go to Costco. Yeah. So, my attitude is just take turns if you want to. But I can hear, Nana, that you've got your mindset that they have to come to you. And we've had that conversation before. I am saying, I'm not sure that that's fair on the kids, but I understand your decision. Yes, Linda, I totally agree with you. If you want something badly enough, you will do it. So we got a perfect example here of a mindset, all right, of a core belief system here going on. And when you've got a core belief system that is negative, you will find all the excuses to cover it. And Nana, I'm sorry for you because it must hurt so much. And I really do want to give you a hug and say, I am sorry. But I want everybody else to see what happens when your core belief system is negative. Right. And I can hear your anger on that, Nana. So Nana's saying, I've done everything and this is what I get. Yeah. And so it changes your mindset. So I'm certain everybody listening can relate to that. Yeah, Nana's saying another reason now, I'm having anxiety. Do you understand? They just keep stacking up. And it's too far for me. Okay, Nana, we got the idea. All right. You rest your heart. You don't need to add any more excuses. We got it. All right. And what I want you to understand is what has happened is It has become a belief system now. So, and that is sad, but it's also reality. How many of you can see that this was not all Nana's doing? It took two to create this picture. And I am pretty certain that the picture is the same on the other side. So the only way that, I could do this is, I would look at this, and I don't want to waste too much more time on it because we've had this discussion before, but the thing is that this is an issue between the mother and the son to get to the grandchildren. All right? If the mother cannot talk to the son, and for the son not want to have the children talk to their grandmother, there is an underlying issue up there somewhere. All right? That is not normal. So Nana's going, the way she keeps sane is to just say, just move on. All right, I'm not going to worry about it anymore. But I know Nana well enough to know that she'll worry about it a lot. It's who she is. She wants to see the grandchildren. All right, so Linda's saying, if someone said I had to drive from the top of Scotland to the bottom of the country in England, all right, for a lottery pickup, I would. Yes. Linda, I agree with you. Yeah, if I said to you, okay, if you could drive this far and collect, and if you manage to do it somehow, whether you come by car or by bus or whatever, and if you manage to do that trip, you could pick up $1 million. I am pretty sure a lot of people will be able to make that trip suddenly. So what it is, if you can see this, it's the underlying, I don't want to do this because it might be and will be uncomfortable. All right, and then Trina's saying, I'd go to the end of the world for my children. Yeah. And so, this is the whole thing. And Nana's saying that she wouldn't. I think that was about the money thing. So, this is like, and I think we've got a really good example of where this plays. So I wanted to talk a little bit about life relationships. If your core belief is that you are unlovable, how does it change your relationships? All right? If you believe that you are unlovable, and this might be at a very deep level that you're not even aware of, do you understand, do you think that you have healthy relationships? And if not, why not? Let's get a little bit of talk going there. If your core belief deep down somewhere is that you don't deserve to be happy, or that you don't deserve a healthy relationship, what will happen to you deep down? What sort of relationships will you attract, if any? Any of you have been there and done that? All right, they'd be unhealthy in what way, Trina? Because it is amazing to me, and I know some of you have heard the stories, but it was amazing to me, the relationships I kept attracting to myself. And it took me 2 marriages to realize that maybe it had to do with me. Maybe I was totally picking the wrong guys. And I can see now, in the space that I'm in now, with the learning I've got now, I can totally see. Yeah, if you don't have self-love, Trina's saying, and self-respect, then you're going to attract people who don't love you. What do they do instead? If Trina's saying she's only just learning this one, but you are learning it, Trina. Yes. By the way, I was an expert in this one, Trina, so just understand you have my full sympathy. It was my experience that when I was not as confident in myself as a human being, I was doing really well in business, for example, but deep down, I just, Linda's saying you get what you focus on, absolutely. And so I kept attracting control freaks. I kept attracting abusive relationships, not necessarily physical, but verbally. And by the way, I know this probably sounds strange to a lot of you, but I think in a lot of ways, I got exactly what I deserved. And so we've had this conversation many, many times. But, if you are healthy in your relationship, it doesn't mean that you can't discuss things, right? Or have arguments or whatever. Have any of you watched I don't know if you've had a chance to do that, but I've been watching a series on people who met at the first, they didn't meet before they got married. It's an experiment. What happens if you have psychologists match up two people? And, how many of them actually, how many of those marriages would work, right? In terms of, and I think what they did is they put them together and they kept them together for 2 months. And all the usual things played out, and some married at first sight. That's it, Jody. Yeah. Have any of you seen that program? And I want to tell you something. I can totally see why it's such a huge hit, because it's like, wow. You see, what they're doing is they're putting a relationship under incredible pressure for 2 months. And the incredible pressure that they're under is reality in a way. But it's the reality they would face in the first year, but they're they're psychologically getting it in the first month. And by the way, the interaction between the different people, when they put them all together, is mind blowing. It's just like, wow. So do you understand that what you believe is true? All right, because we'll always, have you noticed this? We'll always make it true. All right, we can always justify why we have the reasoning that we do. And I think when we can see that, when we can honestly look at it and go, hey, this is not all about them. This is also about me and about where my deep-seated beliefs are, then you're on your way to a much healthier way of living. So let me ask you something, Trina. Now that you're learning the lesson, what are you doing differently in terms of either, I don't know if you've already attracted another relationship, but what are you doing differently? Because obviously your mindset now is definitely different. So what I found is people in healthy relationships, and I know a lot of you are really fortunate in this, you have very long-lasting relationships. And it's not that they're without their moments, all right? You're still allowed to have disagreements. It doesn't mean the end of the world. It doesn't mean that you can't have your needs met. But you need to be with somebody who wants to meet your needs to some degree. By the way, it doesn't mean that you have to get all your needs met and the other person doesn't get their needs met. And I think quite often in the long-lasting relationships, they've learned to balance. They've learned it's not all about me and it's not all about them, it's about us. And we both have needs and we both deserve to have some level of satisfaction. And I don't just mean physically, but I'm talking about, you deserve to have the ability. How many of you believe that the biggest bugaboo for you in a relationship is the lack of communication? And it's funny because you will talk to a lot of men, and as soon as you start discussing communication, their eyes roll and glaze over because it's like women's idea of communication is very different from men's. Did any of you read the book Men Are From Mars and Women from Venus? I thought, intellectually, that was a great book for anybody to read that doesn't understand why we think so differently. And I want to tell you that the mindset that most men have when you see the eyes roll and glaze over is about, here we go again. this is something that could be said in one sentence is about to take 3 hours. And it drives men insane. So I found, I don't know about the rest of you, whether it's with my friends now or whatever, when I want to have a conversation, and it's likely to be a little bit of a problem, I trust my friends enough to say to them, now listen, I could spend 3 hours getting to this point with lots of, excuses and nice velvet gloves and everything else. But here's the bottom line of it. I think the way you behaved yesterday sucks because da-da-da-da-da-da. Now, I don't have the right to make that judgment, but it is what I need to say. And I ask you please not to run with it. It's my stuff. Yes. Jody's saying a relationship is a living thing, so to speak. It requires nurturing. Yeah. I always ask people who are having problems, would you do this sort of behavior when you were dating, or were you busy trying to impress them? And so if you've changed that behavior, you can understand why you've changed your thinking. Linda's saying nearly 35 years later, and I'm sure that we have made it because he shuts up and eventually listens. All right. And Trina's saying married 21 years this year. We were young and had nothing in the way of finances, right? So we've grown up together, but we've had a good sense of humor and it makes it work. We do laugh. He's my best friend too now. And we had difficult times. Yes. And that is something, wouldn't you say the same though? How many of you, the best friend that you have today, you haven't always had easy times with them, but they've stuck with you. You see, what I want you to see is those relationships where you've been married for a long time. What you've proven to yourself is that you are lovable by this person. And if you do the right behaviors, and they truly love you. I think one of the things I really love about that Married at First Sight program is how many of them, okay, Jody, how many of them start off by not really thinking this experiment is going to work. And then by the end of it, they realize that they have grown to be in love with them. It might not be easy, and they might be chalk and cheese, but there's something about that relationship that works really well. And that they're both growing in that process, and they want to continue that. Yeah, Linda's saying, I hate him on Monday and can't be without him on Tuesday. Yeah, I think and this can be true of your children. It can be, hi there, Becca, welcome. It can be true of your children. It can be true of your friends. It can be true of whatever. You see, I look at it and there are days, I don't know if any of you relate to this, there are days when I actually will sit in front of my true friends and go, it really amazes me that you're still a friend. And and I go, it's 30 years later and you're still a friend. How is that possible? And they go, why would I not be your friend? Hi, Ireland. Good to see you. I'm glowing. Oh, thank you. So you understand, it's like, I believe that the reason they're still my friend is because I've been honest with them. I've disagreed with them when I wanted to. I always ask, when people say to me, well, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? I will always say, hey, remember, it's me. Are you sure you want to ask that question? And the reason I have to ask that, thank you, Becca. Becca's saying, I've missed you and the peeps. Well, we've missed you too, Becca, so welcome home. Alan's saying, radiating positivity. Your smile is infectious. Well, thank you for that. And so what I'm saying is that, that how we see life affects how we think about life, affects what life does to us. Can anybody see that core belief? If I want to be a good friend to my friends, what will I do? I mean, seriously, it's not difficult, people. All right? Think about this. If you want to be a good friend to your friends, what sort of behaviors do you do? And the thing is that when you can see that if your mind said, I want to be a good friend, oh, that's so cute as well. Jody's saying, yeah, that's the $1 million smile. And Linda's saying, the Sal smile gets me 3 most days. Right, Becca, and that's right. So if you want to be a friend, you work at being non-judgmental. It doesn't mean that you're not judgmental, but that's why I always say to people, please don't run with this, guys. I know you well enough to know you want my truth. This is my truth. But it's just my opinion. It doesn't really matter that much, does it? All right, and Becca says you'd be open and caring. Yeah, I think that is the most important thing that my friends appreciate in me. They know I'm going to call it the way I see it, and I don't mind being wrong. And I will keep saying, hey, I could be wrong on this one. But what I see is blah, 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 and they go, yeah, right. But I also finish up by saying, hey, I am your friend, and I've been your friend for a long time, and this is my reality. Even though I think that, if you still want to do that, I'll be there to support you. Ireland is saying, I think being a good friend means telling hard truths, okay, but also being there to help them through hard truths and not being an enabler. I quite agree with you, Ireland. That is a very important point, the one that I'm making. All right. I'm not quite sure if I agree with your second comment, but Ireland's saying a slap across the head with one hand and a hug with the other. I think that's not literal. That's how it feels, right? All right, so Carrie's saying it's 70 where she is right now. All right, so people's truth and people's opinions matching make a friendship. I don't totally agree with you on that one, Linda, because one of my very best friends, she and I don't always agree. All right, because one of my best friends, I actually love talking to her because we do have slightly different opinions on things. All right, so Beth is saying, I told my store manager from a different store that is helping us out that she is a high strung and making everyone stress the heck out. We can still be a great team without all the drama. Yes, Beth. Beth, I'm playing another video game online, and it's interesting. We've got one member of the team that's every day is another drama. All right. And so, Beth, you've learned to cut away the drama now. And isn't it amazing, Beth, that once you decide, I don't want my life to be full of drama anymore, when you can see that's what you're creating, isn't it amazing when you decide to make that shift? I'm going to not have this much drama in my life. And so to me, this is like, it's really important that we make that decision, that we change our core belief. I can see from my side, I've already answered that to you, Nana, on a chat. Yes, see, Ireland's saying, I like to make friends with people of different political opinions because I think the dialogue creates a healthy education of thought. I agree with you. I'm an Irish Republican, but most of my buddies are hardline. Yeah, I quite agree. Becca is saying, conflict resolution with authority figures freaks me out so much that I get panicky at the very idea. That's because you don't have that skill, Becca. If you were totally skilled at conflict resolution, do you understand? You would actually see it as a game. So I don't know about you, but I have a feeling that you're a lot better than you were 5 years ago. Beth is saying that after she had that little chat with the person in the store, she changed how she acts, and we worked together, laughing and being more productive than ever. She said, point taken. She sees that we're a team, and one person's drama affects us all. Wow. And how many of you have noticed that even, maybe even in the chat, all right, where one person's drama can suck the life out of a live stream sometimes. No, it's not that people shouldn't have their moments to discuss it, because that's how we get out of drama, is to talk about it. I believe that when you can stand outside and see your core belief is what's causing the problem. Beth saying, yeah, I can remember quite a few times. Yeah, and you see, Beth, think about this. How often have I need to hit you with a verbal 2x4 in the last 6 months? Becca, the same thing. Becca was saying, right. Beth is saying that the store manager that's visiting said, she said it's a complete pleasure working with the team, and that she's never experienced a workforce with so much caring of each other. Absolutely. You have set the role model, Beth. Right. Trina's saying, I try to avoid these drama people. They're so self-absorbed. Hi, Erin. Good to see you as well. All right. And Erin's saying, seen it happen before. For those who haven't been here for a long time, when we had issues with certain people that affected all of us emotionally. Yeah. And that's part of life. You see, what sort of mindset do I have to be able to have these conflicts going on and still be able to broadcast? Think about that. I need to have a mindset. Alan's saying, I got mugged and left for the ambulance a few months ago, but it helped me understand things. My dad told me, no point thinking of revenge, letting the criminal consume you. He isn't thinking of you. Yes. How many of you have seen that one? It's a great one to bring up, actually, Alan. How many of you have seen somebody whose son or daughter got shot and they stand up on television within 24 hours and say, I forgive the shooter? How many of you have seen that happen? You're going, I don't think I could be doing that. But what is their core belief? What is the core belief that they are able to say that? It was the same thing today. I was thinking about, as I said, those Boeing programmers who programmed that main system that caused those crashes. I want to really send them my prayers, because that must be a horrible thing to live with. Beth said, she reminds me of me. You don't have to be perfect with everything. Everyone has their strengths and their weaknesses. It's still going to be a great team. It takes all of us with different qualities to get it. You know something, Beth, whenever I was asked to fix a team, because I used to be what I call a team troubleshooter, I would walk in there and go, okay, the very first thing I want from all of you, what are your strengths? And what are your weaknesses? Write them down. One side, put down your strengths. On the other side, put down your weaknesses. I was amazed how many people had difficulty putting down their strengths, but no problem in writing their weaknesses. Yes, you see, Ireland's saying, I don't think I'd be able to fully forgive, but I'd be smarter and walk away from that kind of crowd. Yes, I think it's really important that we learn that sometimes just standing away from it, we don't have to win every battle. We don't have to prove we're right, because we're not. I find that when, and people have had lots of issues with me in the time that I've been broadcasting, and that's healthy. I want to tell you, as people are attacking me, which they have done, one of the things I do is while I'm talking, because I have this ability, I think I found that when I was a speaker, about 1/3 of my mind is talking. About 1/3 of my mind is processing what I'm seeing or what I used to be hearing when I was speaking. And then the other third is saying, is there any truth in that? And if so, do I need to own it? And if I think, something that's pretty truthful, you'll hear me say, hey, I'm guilty of that. All right, Kerry's saying, Sal, you and the group have helped me grow and become a better person in the last 5+ years. Yeah. Kerry, I want to tell you something. I say it quite regularly because it's important. I'm just the front guy. All right. My job is to find the topics that we can discuss so we can all think through these things. Alan's saying, yeah, Sal, I got all this drama from trying to help people, working in a soup kitchen for the homeless, and then heroin addicts stabbed me in the back. Yeah. You see, when we really get honest, some of us, really need to get rid of the drama. All right, Alan's saying it's disillusioning to see good work be paid back in that way, but it's all about overlooking it and moving forward. Yes, just because, one bad apple said something bad. I want to tell you something. I don't think I could do this work here every week, the work that I do, if I didn't have a particular mindset. Did you all agree with me? The haters would affect me too much, or, somebody said to me, how can you be dealing with such serious subjects all the time? Absolutely, Ireland. For one scumbag, there are 15 good ones. And here's my thinking, Ireland. That one scumbag is a hurting human. All right? The person is damaged at some level. All right? I'm not saying they're damaged because they don't agree with me. I'm saying that if I don't have a mindset, which is it's okay for them to be who they are, that their speed is the right speed for them. They don't have to be traveling at the speed that some of you are traveling at. I don't need them all to get it. I don't need them all to understand. But I do know one thing. If you really want to grow, you'll be here. All right? Because you'll find it interesting. Hopefully. All right, so now then, let me carry on. Let's talk about our health. If our core belief is, I am useless because I am ill, that's my core belief, right? I'm ill, therefore I'm useless, all right? What will your thinking and behavior look like? Does it make sense that you will stay at home feeling sorry for yourself? Well, how many of you can see that you'd probably be jealous about those people who are allowed to go, are able to go out and enjoy themselves? That's the interesting thing. If you start seeing jealousy, you know what? If you start seeing, how many of you have done that? Now be honest, right? Where you're going, I choose not to go out, but then I'm jealous of the people who do. Hello? Right. And Kerry, this is a really important one. Yeah, and Becca's saying you become a couch potato. I quite agree. Hang on a second. Kerry's saying, I can hide my hurt well, but sometimes I'm bursting at the seams to spill everything. And that's where, Kerry, that's where I learned to say ouch. When somebody hurts me, when they say something and it hurts me, I just actually say ouch, because I know it's my stuff. If it hurt me, it's my stuff. All right? Because if I am totally in the right moment, whatever they say is not necessarily going to affect my behavior, but it still hurts at some level. So I will just say, ouch. And I go, what? I'm going, oh, I just wanted to say ouch because at some level that hurt me. But, I still know that you have the right to say whatever you want to say. Nana, do you want me to repeat that publicly? Alan's saying all about those using and turning a negative into a positive. I was super jealous of some high school friends that got famous. As a result, I wrote the best play I've ever written and got featured in the Bernard Shaw Theatre. Wow, Alan, that's sticking it to them. Yeah, hang on a second, because we're going to be talking about that any minute now. All right, so here's what Nana said that I asked permission to repeat. Sal, I wish I could tell you the whole truth. Ali's having problems with him too. Sorry. So the kids are part of what he is hiding. It's not because of my excuses. All right. And so, but it is affecting you. And, you know, one of the things I'm trying to say, Nana, is that that this is affecting you. If I would, you know what I would do, Nana? I'd go and get some therapy on it. See what a therapist recommends you do, because it's going to suck the life out of you. You are a giving person, and you know I would literally try and get the two of you in the same room and talk this one out. By the way, I had that happening with somebody I cared very deeply about. And you know what I did, Nana, was I got a third party, somebody that I knew was really balanced and able to see both sides of the story. And I said, I need you to do me a really big favor. I've got a major conflict going on with somebody that I actually quite like. And I need to find out what the truth of this is. And I need you to come in, if you wouldn't mind, and hear both sides of the story and see if you can mediate this. And this friend of mine said, sure, I'd be honored to do that. And I actually got into a room with this person and this friend. And I said, by the way, just because you're my friend, I don't want you to support my side. I want you to be perfectly down the middle balanced on what you're hearing. And, you know, we threshed it out for about 2 hours. And guess what? We both had stuff that we needed to look at. Jody's saying, that's so not good for this soul. I speak from experience. I was a victim for a while until Saul helped me get my thinking turned around and approach things from a place of yes. Okay. Kerry's saying, I'm ever so slowly coming out of my head, out of my shell around close friends and family. I've been, oh wow, who thanked me for sharing. Exactly. All right, so Jody's saying this was around what she's saying about that feeling useless because you're ill made her turn into a victim. Yeah, her thinking got her into the victim mode. Good, I'm glad you can see it. All right, so now here we go. I thought I'd bring you some fun thoughts. Are you ready for this? I've got some great examples of people who had a little bit of a problem. Ready? Let's think about some people who had physical or mental challenges, people, and yet got on with their lives as they were, not as they wished them to be. In other words, they had to let go of their core belief that they were ill at some level and then move into reality as to what they are. You will remember Christopher Reeve being Superman until he went into an event. He was doing a 3-day horse riding event, and the horse just refused the fence and he wasn't expecting it to. And Christopher Reeve went over the top and shattered his L1, L2. He was paralyzed from the neck down from that point onwards. In fact, they struggled. I was reading something about him last night when I was putting this together. And one of the things I read, which touched my very soul, he was saying that, you know, at that moment when he was sort of first in ICU and everything else, and they told him that was it, you know, he was paralyzed from the head down, but they said they could do an operation and they could, you know, literally his head was loose, right? That, you know, he had literally broken his spine at that point. And they said that they could do an operation and put a pin in and keep his head up. that means he would be able to sit up. And he said, as you can probably all imagine, he's very seriously considered suicide. Because why would anybody, he would have to be reliant on others for the rest of his life. He could not breathe without the tube in his mouth. And there were a couple of times in those first 48 hours where something went wrong with the breathing tube. And if the nurses hadn't been there in ICU, he would have died. And you can understand why he contemplated suicide in that moment. And then his wife came in because they wanted to do this operation, and there was a 50-50 chance that he would not make it through the operation. And so his wife came in to have that conversation with him, knowing that it might be the last conversation that she ever had with him. Just hold on one second. I want to stop the story. I want to read what's being said here. All right. So Beth's saying, my store manager was crying in the office because she was so tired and had been asked to work a double in a different store, double shift, right? I told her to stop crying. You have a choice. You don't have to do anything. Yes, Beth, you are passing it forward. I am so proud of you. And Beth saying she said she never thought of it that way. Beth, all the 2x4s were well worth it. You are now helping others. With tears in my eyes, thank you. All right, so about Christopher Reeve. So his wife's talking to him, and Christopher Reeve says to his wife, knowing that he's going to have an operation where he has less, I think it just literally a 50-50 chance. And he said to his wife, honey, how about we let me go? In other words, that whilst he's under, they just do whatever they need to do so that he doesn't come back again. And apparently his wife looked at him and said, honey, or however she spoke to him, I love you, not your body. Your body isn't what I loved. I loved you, the person. You still have a mind. You are still the person I love. And I will look after you in any way that you need for the rest of your life. And I will do it willingly because this is love. How many of you are going, I would love somebody to say that to me? And by the way, Beth is saying about the store manager, she said she never thought of it that way. No choices means you don't own your life. They own you. You're right, Beth. That is exactly the point. All right? When you feel victim to things, it means you are not running your life. Life is running you. So, but I want to go back and go, do I think that there are times that are difficult to deal with? Yes, I'm thinking about Nana's situation. You're horrible to have to deal with that. But, who needs the help? I would actually literally, say that I think Nana would get a lot of help by going and discussing this with a therapist and really getting the anger of it out and the anger about, all the other things, and get it out. And then, maybe they'll come up with some solution that Nana hasn't thought of and I haven't thought of. Because I can tell you, Nana wants an answer for this one. That is for sure. All right. Right. And Ireland saying, I 100% believe in the philosophy. The problem is with media and what is promoted. A woman will feel bad if they don't have what they think is an ideal body. We don't fall in love with bodies. Yeah, I want to tell you something. I was married to somebody who fell in love with a body. It was mine. Because the reason I know that was because he didn't love me when I was sick. He only loved me when I was dressed up to the nines, and I used to dress up really nicely, Alan. When I used to dress up to the nines and be able to walk into a room and the room would stop, I knew that that's what he loved. He didn't love me. I was eye candy that made him look good, if that makes sense. and I did that accidentally, but I can see it now. Right, Aaron saying, I would give anything to have somebody say that to me. I quite agree, Aaron. In Ireland saying, I don't care if a woman in the world I love is eating a tuna sandwich or even just threw up. I'd still kiss her and tell her I love you. So I just wanted to mention Christopher Reeve. How many of you can see that when he came out of that operation and when he was able to sit in a wheelchair, when he did spend the rest of his life being beholden to his wheelchair and the machines that kept him breathing, how many of you can see that his wife needed a very different mindset from that point onwards? All right, so Kerry's saying, I fell in love with Mike's mind and soul, not his body. He's an amazing person. We differed in opinion on certain topics, but connection is the thing. Yes, not only that, you're different age groups as well, Kerry. So, this is like another piece of the puzzle that people don't see. I want to go on and talk about Rick Hansen, for those of you who may know the Canadian Rick Hansen. As a young athlete, for those of you who don't know of him, he won all-star awards in 5 different sports. I mean, this guy was a serious athlete. He was paralyzed at the age of 15 from being in the back of a truck with his friends, when suddenly the pickup truck swerved and hit a tree. He actually flew off the bed of the truck, and the impact he received shattered his spine. Now, Rick Hansen could have said, well, that's it. My life is over. However, Rick Hansen, after he realized what the truth was about his situation, decided, he was so impressed with the people that he met in rehab. And he was so impressed with what he heard by the therapists who help him. And he really wanted to do something. It was the time of Terry Fox, for those of you who've heard of another Canadian, Terry Fox, who had cancer and wanted to walk across Canada to raise money. These two were in the same sort of league at the same time. And what Rick Hansen decided was, I can raise money for spinal cord research. And he decided he was going to wheel his way around the world. Now, it started, that challenge started on March the 21st in 1985, from just down the street from where I live. And although he didn't get a lot of media attention, he spent the next 26 months logging more than 40,000 kilometers through 34 countries and 4 continents before his final crossing across Canada. And he returned to Vancouver's BC Place Stadium, which is where the Canucks play, to cheering crowds of thousands on May 22nd in 1987, after raising $26 million for spinal cord research and quality of life initiatives. You see, he didn't say, I can't do anything else. I was a superstar at 5 different sports and I'll never play sports again. Yes, Becca. And that was in 1987 money. 26 million he raised during that. Can any of you imagine the mindset he had to have every single day? Right? Every day he could have woken up and said, this is too much like hard work. Yeah, I can't be bothered to wheel. I think he had to wheel 30 miles a day. That was the goal. And, I am certain, he had terrible blisters, he got flu, he got da-da-da-da. But, he had to have a different mindset. Okay, so, all right, Beth, no problem. Guess what? The store manager can't find her keys. So Beth needs to go and lock up for her. So do you understand, every single day of his life, while he was on that tour for 2 years, it didn't matter whether it was snowing, didn't matter if it was raining, didn't matter, if he was feeling great, but then he got a flat tire. Every single day he had to get up with a mindset. And the mindset is, the weather is what it is. I still need to do the best I can. So I want to think about Christopher Reeve and about Rick Hansen and ask you, what would they have done with their life if their core belief had been, that's it, I'm now a loser? Can you understand that? Because I am quite certain there are people that have had the injuries that Rick Hansen has had or that Christopher Reeve had. And I remember having a conversation with Jody one day where I said, I think sometimes these incredible catastrophes are given to us as a learning moment. It teaches us humility. For those of us who've always been givers, we have to learn how to receive. It is a case of something that we need to look at. I believe there are no coincidences. We all learn these lessons, some of us the hard way. Yes, look, I love what Ellen says. She says, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. You know something, Trina, whenever I've had, something really not so nice happen in the broadcast, I'm a human being. I can assure you there are times when I think I'm just going to pull the plug on this. Yeah, I don't need to take this level of abuse or whatever. And, it's really interesting because if my core belief was I am a quitter, that would actually work. I would pull the plug and not broadcast. But, I just know that that's my emotion speaking. It's not really what I believe. And within 24 hours, I'll be going, yes, but what if Beth hadn't found us? Or what if Jody hadn't? Or what if Trina hadn't found us when she needed us? And there's Emma. What if Emma hadn't found us? You see, the thing is, I have to have a core belief that what we do here makes a difference. Yeah, and Kerry's saying, I've been knocked down a few times and I've had to learn to ask for help. It was humbling. But it's human, Kerry. Asking for help is a sign of mental health, that you have good mental health. If you can't ask for help, you have a problem. And Emma's saying it's changed a lot of aspects of my life being here. I want to tell you, Emma, you being here has changed a lot of aspects of our life as well. Hi, ML, good to see you. And so think about this. What if Christopher Reeve and Rick Hansen had got up every morning thinking that they were a loser? That because they had this catastrophic injury, that they couldn't do anything, they couldn't contribute to the world. You see, I have to have a core belief that every broadcast I put together will make a difference somewhere, someday, somehow. You understand, this video might not be a benefit to anybody in the room today. But what if somebody next week happens to hear it that needs it? You see, that is how I look at it. I believe that if it can help one person sometime, that it's worth all the time and effort I put into it. So here's the next thing I want to ask you. Do you know what Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom, Whoopi Goldberg, and Steven Spielberg all have in common? Do any of you know? Play the Jeopardy music. Dum 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 dum. No, okay, Becca. Yes, you're right, Kerry. Dyslexia. Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom, Whoopi, and Steven Spielberg all have dyslexia. So how many of you can see that if they got up every morning going, well, I can't be famous because I've got dyslexia. That if their mind core belief was that I can't do anything because I've got dyslexia. By the way, for those of you who don't know what dyslexia is, it's where you sort of, you try to write a B, but you actually will write D instead of B. Things get switched around in your brain. So think about this. Think about Kira, Orlando, both being actors, and what do they have to do? They have to learn lines. How many of you can imagine the challenge it must be for them when they are constantly having that mind shifting? Do you know how much extra work they have to do to be able to remember lines? And do you think that some days they get up and say, oh, I don't think I can do this anymore. It's too much like hard work. I am certain there are actors who don't have dyslexia that get up and think that. But they not only have dyslexia, they are superstars in their own right. And, Whoopi Goldberg, look at the different things that she has done in her life, right? Not just an actress, not just a singer, not just, incredible things that she has done. Right, and Emma's saying, yes, people with dyslexia also have problems with black and white. Scripts must be such a challenge. That is exactly my point. It's so easy for them not to want to do it, that they wanted to be an actor or an actress more than. What about Steven Spielberg? Do you think that his teachers, depending on how nasty your friends can be, I'm sure that children, were really nasty to Steven Spielberg when he was at school because they did have to work harder. Exactly, Trina. That is it. They had to work harder because they wanted to succeed. And, I can imagine that Spielberg, how many of you can imagine that he sort of lived E.T. in his day, right? He was I believe E.T. was his breakthrough movie, right? You see, their core belief was that they could rather than they couldn't. Yes, I have dyslexia, but it doesn't mean I can't make a difference. Imagine if I got up every Friday morning and went, well, I don't think I can make a difference today. I'm not feeling too good, so I don't think I can make a difference. I don't think I'll bother. You see, I have to believe at some level that what I do makes a difference. And what Jodie does contributes to that, right? For those of you who know Jodie is my admin, that I heard today that she had to make a doctor's appointment on a Friday and she was really concerned about it. And I said, hey, Jodie, I used to be able to do this on my own without your help, but I had to take notes, And so I said, I'm certain one of the others will volunteer to help if I let them know if you can't be there, but you got back in time. So, but Jodie, you understand that if I was so honored that you would be concerned about not being able to be there to support me. You see, your core belief is that you want to be there to support me. And you did everything that was humanly possible. So therefore, if you hadn't made it, I would know it wasn't because you didn't try. It was because the other people didn't try. Yes, Carrie's saying she has 2 nieces and a nephew. They all have dyslexia. One's niece, in one niece's case, it is severe, but they're all so smart. Yes. Now then, do any of you know what dyspraxia is? And it's quite a difficult word. It's sometimes called developmental coordination disorder. Apparently, I've got a problem saying that word. I'm not going to try again. That's when your motor skills are off. Yes, well done, Trina. It's a balance issue, all right? And there are 2 levels of that. Some of them are the fine motor skills. Now, those are the tasks that take very finicky sort of stuff, right? Like playing a piano, writing carefully, and blinking requires coordination. Do you understand that? So they have problems. Some of them have major problems with fine writing skills. motor skills, sorry, fine motor skills, and others have what they call gross motor skills, gross, GROSS, motor skill issues, which are either locomotor skills, such as running, jumping, and sliding, for example, or control object skills, such as throwing, catching, kicking. All right, so those sort of things. So this dyspraxia is a lot of coordination stuff. Now, can you imagine that's a pretty difficult nut to crack? Your balance is off. You know, you have problems with fine tasks. You know, you might have some problems with your locomotive skills, if you like. And yet, isn't it strange that with this, for some of them, it's poor posture. Some of it's they have trouble completing normal chores, all right? They have difficulty coordinating both sides of the body. They have unclear speech quite often. They have clumsy movement and a tendency to trip. So can you imagine that these are not skills? Yes, tying shoelaces, opening a door with keys. So are these skills that you think an actor would need to have these skills? And do you think that people with these skills perhaps aren't so bright? Or these lack of skills? And yet, you know, maybe you want to ask Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe. Because Daniel Radcliffe has dyspraxia. And how many of you know he didn't let that stop him from being a superstar? Are any of you surprised? Because I have another that may surprise you. Yeah, see, I was surprised too. That's why I decided to use him as an example. But how many of you are surprised to hear this? Richard Branson has dyspraxia. Do you think he gets up every morning and goes, well, you know, I'm not too good on the motor skills and I'm not too good at this and not too good at that, so I don't think I'll think about anything today. You see, he might have dyspraxia, but he's got vision. You see, as some of you know, I believe that what the world gives you less of here, it gives you more of here. And, you know, Richard Branson is a visionary. He can see into the future. And so he doesn't let these little things slow him down. He's busy working on the stuff he doesn't work on what he can't do. He works on what he can. Yes, Emma, we really have no idea the battles that people are fighting. Thank you. That is my point. But can you see that Richard Branson cannot have a core belief that says, hey, I got dyspraxia. That's my ultimate excuse for everything now. He goes, I'm going to do this even though. And it might not be easy. I'll have to, you know, do it better than other people because I do have dyspraxia. It's not that I'm ignoring it. I have it. But I'm going to do better than anybody else because I want it that badly. I will do whatever it takes to get my dreams met. And now this one totally blew my mind away because I didn't know this. And it's amazing that I have to thank you all for coming and listening to these broadcasts, because I would not have done this research and found this out had I not been putting this together. And by the way, let's thank Charlotte again for helping inspire me to do what will be a series like this. Did you realize that Albert Einstein had dyspraxia? Einstein, for goodness sake. So do you understand? Dyspraxia here, supermind up here. Dyspraxia here, supermind up here. And now then, some of you know I had the privilege. I had a privilege to do a keynote speech for the people with learning disabilities, the organization. And you know, I did quite a bit of research in it before I did the speech to find out that maybe I had a little bit of a problem that never been diagnosed. But you know me, I've never let that stop me. But I wondered if any of you have ADD or ADHD or OCD. And that's attention deficit disorder, or hyperactivity, or OCD is obsessive compulsive behaviors. People who repeat the same behavior, everything has to be exactly so. If they have a pen on the desk, it has to go in exactly the right place. And, you can't mess with it. And so I don't know about you, but if you're that picky, do you think, and I say picky because, or if you're that out of control in terms of ADHD or ADD, do you think these people are capable of doing incredible things? Because apparently the answer is yes. Do you know that Justin Timberlake has ADD and OCD? Wow. Emma's saying, growing up, if I didn't close the door 10 times before sleeping, something awful would happen. Yeah, so you really relate to this. Justin Timberlake relates to it as well, Emma. And by the way, did you know that Michael Phelps has ADHD? Yes, she has OCD tendencies. Some of us are wishing that we had them, Jody. You know what I mean? Trina says, if I'm very stressed, I do see myself going a bit OCD, checking locks and doors and things. Yes, but what's the underlying factor here? Trina, I want you to see the underlying factor is about doors closing. You want to be safe at some level. That would be my interpretation of it. Would that ring true for you? Right. And Emma's saying it's so easy to say, oh, these famous people have everything. But at night, these issues bother them too. People forget they're not perfect. Yes, Trina, I thought I'd mention that. You're not a stupid person. You have a reason for doing what you do. And when you feel stressed, your security becomes an issue for you. And know that to be true. And it's okay. It only comes out now when you're really stressed. And there's a good reason for that, I'm sure. How about those of you who, this one probably is better known than all of them, but Howie Mandel, right, has OCD. He hates to shake hands with anybody. He won't, in fact, he has a germaphobe as well. And there are quite a few famous people who are germaphobes. Do any of you know of Ty Pennington? He's on HGTV, I think, or one of those, he's one of those people who, Trina's thanking me. She didn't see it that way. Trina, it makes sense, right? You want to make sure that door is closed. It makes perfect sense to me. I think once you can see it, you'll find you don't need to do it as much. I would, really understand that deep down you had a core belief that you weren't safe, and that's why you had to check those doors. So good girl, good work. I'm glad about it. So Ty Pennington is one of these, take a house and make it look better type people. He also struggles. No. Anybody ever heard of Paris Hilton? She's got more money than we can shake a stick at, but she also suffers in this category. I didn't know that. And the one that really surprised me, and I don't know why, but it did surprise me, was Adam Levine of Maroon 5, the lead singer for Maroon 5, and he's on The Voice, right? They all have these illnesses. They didn't want them, but life gave it to them. And they learned to not live their lives complaining about them. All right, so Emma's saying, sorry, I just had to, for some reason, YouTube didn't like that one, Emma. They wanted somebody to check on that one. Paris Hilton, Emma is saying, people think that she was branded as a dumb blonde, but in fact, she's a very smart business person. Well, the name Hilton has a pretty good start to it, doesn't it? I want to tell you that's how picky YouTube is these days, and that's why I have to make sure that we don't just, that you're all aware that that's why I came, by the way, to YouTube, because I knew their control of trolls was the highest I've ever seen. And I wanted to make sure that we could have programs where we didn't waste our time struggling with trolls. Yeah, and Emma's saying it's a good thing. No cyberbullying. I like it. And that's the whole thing. That was why I made the decision. I got really tired of trying to help people, but I was spending more time trying to deal with trolls, or the moderators were spending too much time having to deal with trolls to be able to enjoy the broadcast. I didn't think that was fair. So now then, I'm going to be doing a little bit more about this evening, but I want to know, have any of you seen that in order for you to have a happy life, you need a core belief that is happy? That is the point. That we need to have a core belief that is a happy one. People, I'm not joking. Somebody asked me just very recently, Sal, how can you do those broadcasts if you're constantly dealing with people who've got issues? I said, I do it easily. Why? Well, doesn't it upset you? I said, no, because I've got mental boundaries. They go, what? And I said, I can help people, but I don't have to take it on. I can be sad for Nana, but I don't have to take it on. I can, listen to somebody who's got a health issue, but I don't have to take it on. And so what I want you to see is that I need to be in a certain mindset, i.e. a core belief. Yes, it's not personal to me. I don't get sucked into it all. I know it's just your stuff. All right, so Emma's saying, what if you have a disorder, like bipolar or borderline personality? It's a challenge to say positive when your brain is wired to think negatively. Just work harder, I suppose. You see, your brain gave you the answer. You didn't need me to tell you, did you? Emma, do you have a list of positive adjectives on your mirror in your bathroom? I cannot tell you how that helped me when I was depressed. You see, I learned how to get myself out of depression. The pills just helped me survive. They didn't get me out. I typed out a whole list of positive adjectives. By the way, how do you find them? Type into Google positive adjectives. It will give you pages of them. You might want to have a binder because you can just keep turning the page. And what I did is, whenever I started to think negatively, Emma, I would go, what does an absolutely attractive, beautiful, caring, delightful, effervescent feeling, I go through, I take one from every thing of the alphabet. What do they feel about this? And Emma, it works. You just literally, you just go, yeah, they go, what the, and get on with it. I'm busy. How many of you know that this whole thing about downsizing was stressing me out to a very large degree, and moving and doing all that? I want to tell you something. I've got a new mindset. My new mindset is it'll all happen in the time it needs to. I don't have to stress out about it. I'm having a meeting with my realtors this week, and we're getting to the end result here. I think we're just about done. I just need to find a landscaper, and we're probably, ready to put the house on the market. Now, that can be really sad if my mindset is, I'm going to lose Yvonne in my life. So I really had to stop doing that. And I keep, I did something really strange this week because I was thinking a lot about Yvonne and what impact we've had on each other's lives over the last 20 years. And, Yvonne's favorite food that I make is my, 3-cheese mac and cheese. And I just decided in the middle of the week to make 3-cheese mac and cheese. And all I did is I made it and then I put it down on the washer because Yvonne does her washing at night. And, I didn't say anything. I just left a complete, casserole dish full of mac and cheese on the washer. And, I got this incredible text from her and it said, I don't know what I did to deserve mac and cheese, but thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because it's midweek, it's like she expected that occasionally she'd get mac and cheese, when it's Sunday, but this was Wednesday. Or and it was just like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, no, you see, you're all saying, that's so Sal. And Trina's saying, very thoughtful. No, you see, I wanted mac and cheese. Yeah, I'm not that noble. And that's what I told Yvonne. I just felt like mac and cheese. The difference is I can't just make it for me. I don't have that within me when I know how much Yvonne loves it. And for those of you who are diabetic or trying to watch your blood sugars or those sort of things, you know that I decided I would wait. I would have what I thought was the right size helping, and I would wait the 2 hours, and then I would test my blood sugar. Mac and cheese, people. What do you think? Did it cause a sugar spike or not? We're talking milk, flour, cheese, pasta, macaroni. What else? How many of you think that after 2 hours, because that's how long it takes for a sugar spike to hit, how many of you go mac and cheese, sugar spike? So I want to tell you, it was with some trepidation, fear, that I pricked my finger. And did the blood test. I think it was 6.5, which, by the way, that's in Canadian. That is perfectly normal. And I'm going, I can eat mac and cheese. Oh, life is so much better now. I don't have to feel guilty. How do you guys deal with extreme thirst? I don't have it that I'm aware of. For some reason, I am not aware of it. However, I'm wondering whether extreme eating was my need for liquid. What I do, Emma, is I want to tell you what I'm doing. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do because I don't know that it is. What I do is I blend 2 different containers. One container has cucumber and celery in it, and I blend that up with a little bit of water, like a cup of water, just so it turns into like a slushy. And then I do another container which has orange, apple, lemon, and carrot. And I blend that up. So one is green, one is orange. And I want to tell you, Emma, this really works for me. I put a little bit of the celery and cucumber, because I know that's like missionary. It does good work in dark places. Get my drift, Emma. So that I start, and I have it in a container where I can't see the color. That's very important. I have it in a travel mug where I can't see the color. Okay, so I put that in first, and I put in probably 1/3 of the green, then 2/3 of the orange, apple, carrot, and lemon, which, by the way, tastes really great. And then And then I fill it up with ice cubes. And I sip on that all the time. I'm on the computer and stuff. And I want to tell you something. That's really helping me control my eating. Will this be on later to watch? Yes, of course it will. That's why we do YouTube, is so that you can, you can start from the beginning and see what we were talking about. All right, so Jody is saying that chronic thirst, Emma, stopped for her once she got her blood sugar stable. And so I want to tell you that I'm really quite surprised. I keep it in the fridge. By the way, you need the lemon in with the apple one so that so it doesn't turn brown. Does it make sense? I just put a slice, like one slice of lemon in there, and it gives it a nice little taste anyway. Well, Becca's saying, my dad from another room goes, who is that? Sounds like a radio host. Tell him I am most flattered and thank you. So do you understand that what I'm doing, Emma, is I am trying to find nutritional things. I'm not big into straight water, but I quite agree. Are you testing yourself, Emma? The reason that your body is calling for water is really important for you to know. So you got scared. Okay, don't be scared. You still got it. No, Emma. Emma. Oh gosh, I do love you guys. Okay. Okay, so Emma, being scared, is it in the emotional or in reality? Okay. Where is scared? Is it in emotion or in reality? It's in the emotions. So as soon as you will get scared, you start going round and round and round in the hamster wheel. Oh, I'm so scared. I don't know what my numbers are. I don't want to prick myself. Blah, 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 blah. True? You see, oh, I put it in the wrong one. I'm so sorry. It's a good job you guys know me well. All right. So here you are, round and round, going round and round with all the fears. It's all emotional stuff. Okay. So now then, what do we know? To get out of emotion and into reality, we need to do something. So take the damn test. Right? Because it is what it is. Not taking it doesn't change it, Emma. Yes, treat it. So I got sourdough bread. All right, you got sourdough bread, right? And it's, I make my own sourdough bread because I found out I can eat bread. Sourdough is a lot better for me. So I'm going, wow, that was a good learning moment for me. I've lost the top now, guys. That'll drive me insane. Okay. Oh, Beth's back already. Well done, Beth. So Emma, seriously, what do you gain by not taking that test? You can live believing that maybe they're better than I think, or you can drive yourself into absolute panic. You see, I do my blood sugars, and here's my reality. I don't stay here. I need to take my blood sugar because I want to be in reality. And I can assure you, right, a test won't change the result. Absolutely, Becca, you can see that, right? So, I can prick my finger, take the test and go, wow, that's really high. I didn't expect that. And by the way, you can hear by the way I set it up that when I had the mac and cheese, what did I expect it to be? Becca's saying it won't change the result. It only proves your greatest fear. Fear is emotion. So Emma's saying the problem with studying medicine is we've covered diabetes in depth. And with anxiety, you kind of freak out when you know a lot about it. And the doctor says, you're pre-diabetic. Well, hello, so am I. All right, it is what it is, Em. Right. But the thing is, Becca, I found out the way that I make it. Actually, I must make it in a certain way that I'm not aware of, but I must make it in a certain way that the cheese that I use balances out the pasta and the milk and the flour. Does that make sense? The only way that that could have ranked as low as it did when I did the reality check was that if I hadn't done that reality check, I would never have found that out. And I want to thank Beth and all of you who've helped me with all this diabetic stuff, because I now have tested myself 10 times, I think. All right? I've tested myself 10 times and I'm diabetic, supposedly. Here is the news. I have not been out of the range on my day-to-day numbers once. I make mine, Becca, with 3 cheeses. I put in cheddar, orange cheddar, cheddar, mozzarella, and I also put some Parmesan into the cream sauce. So here is the thing. Emma, panic doesn't change anything. Does that make sense? Panicking about what the result may be doesn't change anything. Doing something will change it, changing the way you eat. Pre-prepping, boy, Beth, I don't know how to ever thank you for that. I literally am sitting there. I just go to my fridge and I go, snack time, just take out a snack pack, off I go. It's dinner. Take out a dinner pack. Okay, just put that all on a plate, put another plate on top, put it in my toaster oven, let it just sit at 200 for an hour while I go and do something else. Panic has no logic. It's just something that takes over. Panic is the hamster wheel. Get out of emotion and do something. The only way, it's autopilot, it's the hamster wheel. The way you stop the hamster wheel is you do something. So here's the thing. The next time you go, think about this, Em. The next time you go to do that door thing, what are you going to say to yourself? Do I have pudding packs? Becca's asking me. Yes, I do, Becca. Are you surprised to hear that? I'm so glad you asked me. I never thought to mention that. Cook me without dessert? I mean, hello. Okay, so here's what I do for desserts. Number 1 is I plan my day so any day, hi there, Sakura, any day I can end the day with a super frosty from Chapman's. Chapman's is an ice cream brand here. I actually got it all planned out. So, as long as I've been well enough behaved, I can actually have an ice cream bar for dessert. Right. And that's the thing, Beth, you just read my mind, because at the moment I have just made 4 ramekin jars, ramekin containers. They've got Jell-O at the bottom. And then when I go to serve them, I will put like some fresh fruit on it on top, and then cream. Did you know that cream is okay? Beth taught me that one. By the way, pressurized cream in a can lasts longer, so I use that. So I literally will put the Jell-O, level of fruit, and then some cream on top. How decadent is that? And guess what? Right. So good dark chocolate. Exactly. Dark chocolate. It's not about that you see, you remember what I said at the beginning. I don't want to be in a place of where I can't have dessert. I don't want a diet. I mean, who wants a diet? I want to find what can I do, not what. I can remember when I went to go and see the dietitian, Becca, one of the things that she started with, she sort of started to talk to me like a normal person. I said, wait, before you start, please don't tell me what I can't do. All right? I want to know what I can. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know now what I can't do, but I'd like to know what can you suggest that I can do that will make it more exciting. And how, and I found doing the pre-prepping made a difference. By the way, did I put up that picture of the vegetables I cooked? Beth taught me this one as well. Beth, I literally was cooking unbelievable pork tenderloin for dinner last Sunday. And what I did is, between Jody and her roasting vegetables and everything else, I decided what I can do is I can actually cook my vegetables for the week on a Sunday. When I cook the main meal on a Sunday, I can do enough that it not only does that, but I can have enough left over for the rest of the week. So this week, when I cooked on Sunday, I cooked spaghetti squash with cinnamon and butter. I cooked pepper, mushroom, red pepper, mushroom, yellow pepper, red pepper, mushroom, I got the portobello mushrooms and sliced it. And I had all of that and drizzled it with olive oil and some pepper on top, a little bit of lime juice, I think. I roasted that. Then I did another one, which was carrots, bok choy, I think I had, and some other vegetables. Green beans and stuff. And I had that with a drizzle of olive oil, and it just wrapped it all, a little bit of olive oil, and then laid it out and roasted that. But I had, and carrots, I said, right? So all the good vegetables, green, red, whatever. And I just literally put them in the oven and let them cook while I did the broadcast on Sunday. Right. It's really interesting, Becca. I'm so, something I so relate to it. Becca's saying, so I honestly think I must have had some sort of PTSD from being in the kitchen and learning to cook, unquote. My mum just finding ways to criticize and not give me healthy feedback. Yep. From when you were young. I want to tell you that when I first came to live here, I didn't think I could cook. You see, my sister was the cook. You see, that was my belief system. My sister was the cook. She was the one that was able to do it. I wasn't the one. I now know I cook some incredible meals, or so I'm told. I don't think of it that way, Becca, but I have changed my mindset. I now know I can cook a really good meal. And you know what I'm finding interesting, Becca, and I think you will too, from what I know of you, I'm really working more now on the plating. Not only do I want to cook a really nice meal, but when it's on the plate, I would like it to look pretty. And by the way, Beth, you see, I can have half a damn plate full of vegetables if I want to, but just maybe 1 cup of mashed potato. Yes, Becca's saying, yes, my brother is the cook of all the siblings. Actually, my sister is too, but my brother was so much more active in it. Yes, if you keep doing it, you will get better at it. The mindset is you don't have to start by being perfect, people. I can remember having a husband that after we divorced would phone me up and go, how do I get the VCR to work? I'm going, you learn like I did. Really. It's like, I tell him, but, it's just like the reason that we get good at things is because we do them enough. When I have made furniture, in my garage or whatever, I got all the tools of the trade in the garage, and people will say to me, wow, how did you make that? I said, I've got tools. Well, how did you get those? I bought them. Why? Because I wanted to make stuff. By the way, I still want to keep them. I don't use them all the time, but when I wanted something, I know I've got the tools to make it. And do I think that once I have got all this moving thing sorted out in my mind, and I've moved and I found a new home, how many of you know, part of me goes, it's very possible I won't go into an apartment, but I will go into a mobile home just so I can have the space to keep my tools and stuff. When I say a mobile home, I don't mean a fifth wheel now. I'm talking about a modular home. I'm very seriously now thinking I might go that route because it gives me a lot of the things I want to hang on to for the next 10 years, which is space, light, and the ability to do what I want to do with my tools. And it's taken me a whole year of processing. I'm pretty certain that those of you who followed my journey on this downsizing realize this was a lesson in what do you really want in your life now? What is it you really want? I want to be able to live the way I live now, but without the overhead. That's really what it comes down to. I love the light and space in my home. I love, having a workshop full of tools. I love having the space. So I know that's what I want again. Yes, Beth, the simplicity of it. But it's like, I'm not ready to live in a 1-bedroom, little dark corner apartment. Yes, Beth saying it's like the Marie Kondo minimalist thing. Yes, I want to tell you that I've watched some of her stuff and I agree with what she said. You don't let go of things that are important to you. Emma's saying, I bought my sister a toolbox and electric screwdriver for her new home. Everyone, and her included, looked baffled until she had to unscrew a very loud smoke alarm at 3 a.m. Yes, Nyasha, I'm just about to stop, but welcome. So, no problem. Listen to this broadcast. It's going to be really important for you, Nyasha. Listen to it on the replay, please. By the way, I did want to make one suggestion. Those of you who have a problem sleeping at night, I am starting to put all the Soul Sunday broadcasts, where they have a different tone to them. What I'm trying to do is put those all into a Soul Sunday playlist. So if you want to go to sleep, you know what my voice does. I'm going to start putting now all those new Soul Sunday things into a broadcast. And I think you'll find that it will help you sleep. Not only that, you'll be learning as you sleep, which is a really important thing. Becca, I apologize if I'm reading you as Beth. Yeah, I apologize for that, Becca, but luckily you know me well enough. Sometimes the stream goes quickly and I see one name and then I read the comment from another. You're quite right. Yes, Becca's saying to me that I'm finding only my core life items and values. It's only confusing to you, Becca and Beth. Nobody else really is confused by it. But I do apologize if I confuse you, but I'm certain after all this time, it's not unusual to you. I really, Nyasha, this is a really important broadcast for you that I hope will help you. And how are you feeling, by the way, just on a scale of 1 to 10? Are you feeling any better than you were before you went and got those new pills? That's what we all care. Yeah, Becca, and I know that. You see, the wonderful thing is that I know you've grown that much where you won't take it personally anymore. Exactly. Beth or Becca, we are both great people, and I do believe that. You see, Becca, I want to tell you that 5 years ago, I would have been really worried about that because you would have taken it the wrong way. I think you know now, it's just so. But thank you for bringing it up and so that I could apologize to you both. You never did take anything personally from the cast. I'm delighted to hear that. So this is the whole thing. We're going to be doing a little bit more this evening, but how many of you found this helpful today? And if so, why? I'd like to get some feedback. Is this worth the research I did into it? What did you learn from listening to this broadcast today and participating in it? In terms of your core beliefs, did you learn anything? Did it have any aha moments for you? Can you see, Emma, that there was a reason why you kept opening and shutting that door? All right, so Becca's saying it was maybe just something I was processing outside of the cast that spilled over in how I communicated. Okay. But you see, that's what I believe, Becca, that everybody will take what they need from a broadcast. And sometimes it's not what I'm talking about, it's what the mind brings them while I'm talking. And I don't really mind. This is like important. Okay, Nyasha's giving us some feedback. The medication is working great. It's like a miracle. These past days have been marvelous, no pain. She's saying the retention is still there. That's the water retention, right? She doesn't have the machine to check that in her country yet. But, Nyasha, that's a huge step forward. I'm so happy for you. The fact that you're out of pain, is just amazing, honey. Well done. You see, you are doing something to help yourself here. And Beth is saying, every broadcast is something I look forward to. It's like a family time. I thank you, Beth. And Becca is saying, yay, Nyasha, that's a blessing. Yes, I really do believe that. And so I leave you all from this broadcast getting ready for doing a little bit more of this work this evening. I really do want you to see that your whole life, the way you spend in the hamster wheel of emotion or in reality, if you can learn, you remember the whole big basket this year is about emotional intelligence. The more that we deal with our stuff, the more that we don't get scared about taking the test strips, but deal with the reality, the happier we will be. Oh, it's a shock. Oh, I don't want to read that I've got high readings when I shouldn't have them, but it means I need to change my eating a bit more. You see, that is the reality. And I am just so happy that I have changed my ways enough to be able to keep my numbers completely within range, regardless of what I'm eating. I think that is a miracle in itself. And I have to thank Beth and Jody and everybody else that helped me understand, what causes sugar spikes, why I need to prepackage my food, why it saves time and money, even though the food I'm eating is more expensive. I'm eating less food, people. It costs less. I used to be able to open up one box of wheat and nut thins and eat them in one sitting. They now are 3 different snacks. And so I look at it and say to you, there is hope if you want it. Yes, Beth's saying that's what families do. We care and share advice. Absolutely. That is what people who care do. And some of them are lucky enough to have them as family members. We're the extended family. And that's what we do. All right, so Nyasha's saying, I think I'm going to stay until you sign off, Mama Sal. I love this group. It's healing to me. And Jody's saying, Sal, you've done amazing work. Well, Jody, not without your help, I wouldn't have done. You have been there. You have been there and you have shown me the way, the wonder that Nyasha has in terms of learning how to grow up and think like an adult. I've had that learning, Nyasha, about the way I eat, and I now look at rice and I don't say I'm not allowed to have rice because it's not brown rice. I go, hey, I can use up this rice by doing 50% white rice, 50% brown rice. And it tastes the same, just a little nuttier. I literally do that, right? So, I'm finding so many different ways that I can do things, and it's making a difference. So, everybody, I hope this has been of some value to you. If it has, and you're watching this on the replay, or those of you who care to take the time, if this has been of value to you, please leave a comment in the notes below. Because it's very important for people to be able to see that what was in here was in fact helpful to you. And in what way? So that helps people see that it's worth watching. For those of you who are out there, thank you so much for helping one another. Beth, thank you for passing it on. Jody, thank you for passing it on. You see, the way that we get to make a difference in the world is that we learn, and by learning, we spread our learning onto others. And which secrets do you want, Nyasha? The secrets of how I learned to eat better? By the way, I wanted to apologize. I have not been filling out the vlog page as much. Let me rephrase that. I haven't done anything on the blog page for a while, and I'm going to just be focusing on that. Are you signed up to subscribe on the DearMamaSal.com subscriber list, Nyasha? Emma's going to go and test her sugar glucose level. Well done. Deal with the reality. Don't be scared of it. Deal with it. All right. So see you all tonight. Beth says, and she gets to sleep in tomorrow. That is awesome. I'm so happy. People, I'm going to do a little extension of this and look at different aspects. And what I will do is hopefully be able to change a few more thinking moments for you all. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you so much for being here, for sharing your comments, because it all helps people. This is DearMamaSal saying look after one another, but please, 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 most of all, get the drama out of your life. Get enough sleep. Eat better. Do what makes you happy. We don't know if tomorrow's coming, but I'd like to be healthy enough to be able to enjoy it if it is. This is DearMamaSal saying big hugs to you all. Bye bye for now.